Hi, friends. In today's episode, we are talking about understanding our feelings, personality types, and how we can use simple techniques to improve our relationships with our kids, coworkers, and friends. It's an important episode you don't want to miss.
As we continue to transition seasons and discuss the importance of quality supplements, I wanted to share a special offer from my favorite supplement company, Seeking Health. You can get 10% off your entire order at Seeking Health by going to the link at my website, natalietysdal.com/favorites. It's a great opportunity to try their high-end quality products and experience the benefits for yourself. Seeking Health offers a wide range of supplements designed to support your body's natural processes. Whether you're looking to optimize your digestion, boost your energy, or improve your mental clarity, they have something for everyone. One of the things I love about Seeking Health is their commitment to quality. Their products are GMO-free, backed by a 60-day money-back guarantee, and formulated with pure, scientifically backed ingredients. My family uses them. Remember, Seeking Health supplements are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases. They're designed to support your body's natural healing processes. So if you're ready to take your health to the next level, be sure to check out natalietysdal.com/favorites. Let's embrace prevention, support our well-being, and maximize our body's healing potential.
Hi, everyone. Natalie here. I'm so excited about today's episode. If you've ever struggled to identify your feelings or wondered why certain people drive you up the wall, this is the episode for you. Candice Thomas has roots in holistic health, but as a practitioner, she came to see that health was less about illness and more about unhappiness. She saw that what is going on in your mind is what's going on in your life and in your body. The breakthrough in her clinical practice came when she began to focus on her patient's personality type as the key pathway to healing and happiness. We're going to chat about the importance of self-awareness, especially when it comes to making positive changes and handling relationships with grace. Candice introduces some fascinating techniques to manage stress, which are game changers for a calmer mind and better communication. We are going to discuss her new book, and she shares a free quiz that you can take to learn more about your own personality type. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you want more tips and behind the scenes fun, sign up for my weekly newsletter at natalietysdal.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let's dive into today's conversation with Candice Thomas. Candice, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me because I've done thousands of interviews over the years, and personality types come up often, but your take on this is different. So give us kind of a summary of your expertise.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I've been a teacher in the Enneagram for several years, and the Enneagram is a personality typing system that's pretty well established that identifies 9 personality types. And I've sort of always been attracted to learning about archetypes and different personality types, but I kind of repeatedly found that there was a piece missing, which is, what am I supposed to do with this information? Now that I know about my hardwiring, how does that empower me? How do I make changes? Like, what am I supposed to do? So the way that I teach the personality types and the system that I've created identifies sort of a shadow side and a high side within every personality type. And I offer methods for how to get yourself out of the survival side, which is called your primal persona, and into the high side, which is your vitality personality. So I like people to know that there's actually methods and things you can do so that you are not so locked into that slim perspective that the shadow side offers. We really want a more expansive view.
So let's back up. A lot of people have done Enneagram. It's part of college courses and even high school courses and leadership training. But for those who are not familiar with it, give us an idea of what those 9 personality is. That it was 9, not 8. Right?
9, yes.
Yeah, I think I did it in college, and I don't remember. I have an idea, but I don't remember. But give us the idea of what those different personality types are. I think before people take the test, let me ask you this first. Do people hear it and do they self-identify before the test, or are they often something different than they might assume?
That's a good question. Some people identify themselves right away. Some people can spend years and years trying to find what is my type, and they've tried on this type for a couple of years and they thought it fit, but then, so it's just interesting that some people are very identifiable and some people have real malleable traits. The other thing to know is that when we're under duress, we're answering those questions differently than when we're happy, and when you're taking my quiz, I have right there, answer like you were 25, like trying to remind you the way you've evolved into is perhaps not how you started. And we're looking for that core type. But at different times in our life, we actually do kind of adopt traits that belong to other types. There are relationships between the types. So part of identifying yourself correctly is answering the questions for your core self and sort of how you adapted or pivoted at different times in your life. So
give
some
us
people
the
are easy.
overview again.
Yeah. Okay.
What those are. So if someone is listening and they've never even heard of this, they'll be like, oh, I relate to some of that.
Yeah. So I give 2 names for each personality type. One is for your highest, best potential, why you're here, what you accomplish when you are happy and stable. And then the name for your primal persona, which is sort of your default, which has a lot more ego stuff built into it. And so we're maybe not having the most expansive view. So type 1, now these are just numbered 1 through 9. And it's funny because somebody said to me the other day, oh, they have a higher number than me, so like they're better than me. No. It's not a hierarchy. It's not a ladder. Everybody's equal, okay? But we just number them 1 through 9. So type 1 is called the architect or the perfectionist. And this is a type that is oriented around the theme of order. They really like to make everything flow and be efficient and effective. But the high side allows for adaptability and doesn't require you to be on your very best behavior for my system to work. Like the things that I create accept that you have an ebb and flow, versus when I'm in my judge, the primal persona as the judge is, no, you have to be just so. And if you don't do it this way, you're bad and wrong. So there's a lot of condemning with the primal persona side, but you're allowed to be a flawed person when you're the architect. So type 2 is the altruist or the victim. This is a type oriented around the theme of giving. So that altruist is very much a helper, a giver, wants to assist other people. However, they are in a position of self-love where they will not give themselves away. They will not sacrifice themselves or allow harm to come to themselves in order to be there for you. So it's a much more balanced version of giving versus the victim, which is always at the end of the line. I put everybody ahead of me. I always come last. And so the relationships and the power dynamics in relationships get really out of balance. So that's why they get called the victim. It's not like they're moping around saying, poor me all the time, but they end up in situations where they get to lose, right? Somebody else gets to be the winner, and I always make myself the loser. Type 3 is called the luminary or the pretender. And this type orients around a theme of worth. What does my worth look like? How do I demonstrate my worth? So the high side of that, the luminary, is expressing who they are out into the world. They're putting their big energy and drive behind the issues that mean something to them personally. It's really a self-expression, an authentic self-expression. Versus the pretender, who is just so success-oriented that they will adopt a persona of success, dress for success, maybe get the career that looks like it's going to be successful, read the books that are, popular, and it's more about fitting in, but sacrificing your authenticity in order to make that happen. So it's chasing glory versus having true self-worth. Okay. Type 4 is called the creative or the diva. And this is a type that orients around creativity and authentic self-expression. The creative has mastered their emotions because the type 4 are the right brainers in a left brain world. They're very sensitive and emotional. And this can often really interfere with progress and productivity. Like they can't get traction because they're bogged down in their stuff. So the creative has mastered that and has learned how to balance their emotions and how to be more structured and disciplined so they can actually produce, versus the diva, who is so wrapped up in their feelings and wanting to be validated by other people that they kind of make things messy more than productive, right? Okay. I'm like that?
Yeah.
We all do, right?
I'm identifying people in all of these categories.
The type 5 is called the sage or the miser. And this is a type that orients around wisdom and wanting to know the deep truths of things. They really only like the deep stuff and not the superficial stuff. They're not major socializers or people pleasers at all. The sage is sharing their wisdom. They're the ones who do these deep investigations and research, and they really have patience for the deep dive. And then they're sharing their wisdom and they're helping society advance and grow. Like we all get to benefit from what you learned, right? Versus the miser, who does not share. They're a loner, they isolate, and so they're getting all of this cool information, but they're not sharing it with anybody, and they're not revealing who their feelings, their thoughts, they won't share themselves. So we want them to open up and join the world. Type 6 is called the guardian or the alarmist. And this is a type that orients around integrity and making sure that things are true and honest and stable and safe. And so they're very community oriented. They really care about society and the direction we're going. So when they're the guardian of integrity, they are watching for trouble on the horizon, but they themselves are very stable and self-reliant. And so they know that whatever hiccups might come, I have the resources to stabilize this and to reckon with it, versus the alarmist, who just kind of sees danger on all horizons and any change must be bad, and you wanting to introduce change is going to make me freak out. And so there's a lot of flare-ups that happen with the 6. They have big explosive emotional reactions to things that are very destabilizing. There's the type 7, who is the uplifter or the hedonist. And this is a type that orients around joyfulness. And so as the uplifter, you are rooted, you're stable, you know who you are, you love yourself, and then you are emitting love and light out of your happiness with your life that benefits other people. And we see a lot of people in the wellness industry and in the entertainment industry who are very cheerful, very uplifting. We seek them out because of how they make us feel more inspired. But the flip side of that is the hedonist, where this is just, I seek pleasure at all times. I kind of skip the hard stuff. I don't finish stuff. I'm not very disciplined or structured. And I just keep like having dessert first every day, right? And so they get real out of balance. And so there can be the consequences are like missed potential. 7s have they're very verbose, they're very intelligent, they have a very fast mind, and yet they may not ever finish that degree, or they may not ever get that promotion because of all of that sabotaging escapism that they've been doing instead. Yeah. The type 8 is called the leader or the bully. This is a type that orients around the theme of power, and they are very powerful people. You can feel like when they enter a room, you can feel it, right? With how they fill a room. So the high side, the leader, is looking to empower other people, to help disempowered people have a voice, have a platform, have resources. They're putting their big energy behind important causes. As the bully, they just want their own power. They just want their own control. They don't really care about what that does for you. I just only want to make sure that I'm good and that I have what I want. I want to be in charge. So it's a much more limited and controlling kind of version of the type. And then finally, the type 9 is the healer or the submissive. And their theme orients around peacefulness. The healer is healing disharmony in people. It's not that you have to be like a doctor or, have a medical degree. It's that the type 9 healer emanates peacefulness. They are of a calm, gentle, generous natured person who creates safe spaces for other people. And that is what is healing. Versus the submissive, I'm just trying so hard not to make waves that I don't speak up for anything that's important. And actually, I allow a lot of bad behavior to go on because I don't have the nerve to quell it, to address it. And so that's the opposite of a healing environment that I'm allowing to be created, right? I'm actually looking the other way while there's a lot of volatility happening in my world. And so it's that willingness to speak up and take action that moves the 9 into the healer mode.
Yeah, and then you can get the 9, I imagine, that has some resentment over time because they tried so hard. They want to heal, but they didn't say anything. So, boy, that was a lot. Good job. That was amazing.
It was a lot. There's always 9 answers to every question, so it makes things a little long.
I think it's really helpful to understand where, and I start to identify as I listen to you.
Yeah.
That might be me. That might be my daughter. That might be my husband. That might be my boss. Why is this important? Like, why do you do this? Why do we need to identify with these 9 things? Yeah.
So it's way more than just a fun curiosity, right? It's more than just trying to find out what Barbie doll am I or what Disney princess am I? This is actually how you are hardwired in your unconscious. So all these aspects of yourself that you don't see but are making a major impact on the life choices and the way you're living, we need to become aware of that. Our ego is really embedded inside the personality type. So we've heard about having an ego and how that's sort of survival and scarcity oriented, but most of us don't realize there's 9 flavors of ego and it's by personality type. This is the default. This is happening automatically. When you are not self-aware, your ego has taken over and is making your choices for you, is picking your thoughts and feelings for you. And you're really not in a place of power in your life. Your life feels like it's happening to you instead of you directing your life. But when you become aware of the personality type and the default hardwiring, then you have the capacity to sort of manually override it. Once you know what you're looking for within the type, you say, oh, well, that doesn't serve me. That's not who I want to be. So now I know I need to start watching for that. And it's making the conscious decision not to handle it how you've always handled it. Maybe that type 6 alarmist is always so reactive right away. I'm assuming it's the worst. What you're telling me is a bad idea. Now that I know that I always do that, I could say, okay, I'm just going to sit tight and ask some questions and let this person explain to me why this is a good choice. I'm going to stay open and not react. And then I'm able to have a totally different outcome, right? So it's gives you more power and control over having the life you actually want instead of the life you were accidentally creating without even realizing it.
That's a really interesting point. It actually gives you the power when you know these things versus you think you might know.
Yeah.
You might think you're always right. But are these things kind of hardwired for life? Do we go through different stages as a child and then as a working professional? Do they change and do we need to reanalyze every 10 years or how does that change?
I would say that you are always the core type. I believe you come in with this. I think it's in the DNA somewhere. We haven't found it yet. But I think, if you're a mother and you have multiple children, they came out that way and they're very different from each other, right?
I had the nurse tell me with my husband, I won't tell you which child of my 3. The nurse told me she knows within 60 seconds of a baby being born. And how can that be true? She goes, no, it really, you can tell their personality. Obviously there are times when babies are born and have issues or whatever, but they come out screaming or they come out very calm. And I would say that's pretty true of my 3.
Yeah. So you always have that initial core wiring. I believe that somewhere in childhood, we most likely have a trigger that activates that ego survival programming within the personality type. Occasionally, I meet somebody who really seemed never to have gotten triggered. They actually grew up in a loving, stable home where they got validated and they got their needs met. And it seems like if you actually have an awesome childhood like that, you're sort of always living in the high side of the personality type. But most of us get triggered. We have an unstable home that creates some kind of trauma or wounding for us, and that really activates that primal aspect of the personality type. And so when that happens, we're much more identified with our wounds and our trauma, and we're a lot more locked in to that personality type. And then as we go through life, additional stressors pile on, and we start seeing that not only am I modeling the low side of my personality type, I'm also taking on the traits of some of the low sides of the other personality types. So we do look like we change, but it's sort of like we're adding on, And so it does seem that in different times in your life, you might be answering those quiz questions differently, which might indicate that you're a different type. But I would say it's more like you've always been this type and you're sort of acting more like that type now.
Yeah. I find it fascinating, though, when you mention, like, most people don't have a perfect childhood.
Right.
That would be great. But at some point, we can call it trauma, we can call it difficulties, we can call it life.
Right.
But having those at some stage, I've just interviewed so many people over the years that say you need your child to have struggles so that they know how to deal with them, because the last thing we want, especially as parents, is for them to go to college and have those struggles and not know how to deal with them.
Yeah, but even when you're a perfectly happy, balanced person, life provides struggles, right? Like I may be in charge of my emotions and I may be aware of the choices that I'm making. But when my mom dies, I'm still going to cry my guts out, right? I'm still going through life experiences. So I don't think you need to have the trauma to teach you how to reckon with life. The wounding and the trauma, we can always learn and benefit from it. There are always lessons in our experiences, but there are positive ways to learn lessons. We don't have to learn it the negative route. That just seems to be the way we prefer.
So I am hearing you say that you can change. Being aware, first of all,
right.
Number one, knowing who you are and what you're hardwired for, and that you can change, that you can help yourself.
Yes.
And that's probably what we hear a lot of people say, that's just the way I am, deal with it.
Right. Yeah. It's not, it is true that I have this wiring inside me. It's also true that once I become aware of it, I have the power to choose differently, right? So I don't need to so deeply identify with my personality type that I believe I'm now powerless to change it. It's just, I think of it as like you come in with the factory settings, but you have the ability to go in there and customize the settings, right? And reprogram things if you would like. So that's sort of how I look at it is, am I just the default and I never examined that there was more that I could do with this very powerful system? Or could I get in there and start tweaking and upgrading and elevating things so that I have the most powerful, fabulous version of this?
And that wraps up part 1 of my conversation with Candice Thomas. We've covered so much ground today, from understanding personality types to actionable techniques for better communication and well-being. But there's still much more, and that's why I've split the conversation into 2 parts. In next week's episode, we're going to dive even deeper into the how of healing and understanding your own personality type. Don't forget to check out the links in the show notes today for Candice's book and to sign up for my free newsletter. Thanks for joining me today. Share this with someone you think could use it.